I welcome Rachel to talk about pathways and commitment to South Australia. So first of all, I'd like to say welcome to South Australia as well, and also well done for getting through the migration process. It is a great achievement to migrate to a new country. You've gone through state nomination and a visa application process, but more importantly, you've packed up your life at home. You've had to come over here, adjust to a new country, new culture, new everything. I spent a year working in regional Japan with no language skills, and it was the most challenging year of my life, but to be honest, it is still the most rewarding experience I've ever had. So even though it was quite a long time ago, I still look back on it as one of my greatest achievements. So I hope you really settle in well to South Australia and find work quickly and enjoy your time here. And it's great to have you here. So I'm just going to give you a bit of an overview of state nomination. It's been a while since you've been through the application process. You may have had a migration agent that submitted your state nomination application for you. So just a few reminders around obligations under state nomination, but also just a bit of a general overview of the program as well. So each year we nominate approximately 2,500 main applicants that come through General Skilled Migration State Nomination. And we do a lot of work in terms of compiling an occupation list each year, as you'd be aware. So we do industry consultation and we look at what occupations are in demand in South Australia. And there's a lot of economic modelling that goes into who we nominate and what occupations we nominate for South Australia. But there are very limited numbers for some occupations, so most likely you're one of very few in your occupation that are coming through. So we look very carefully, and you can have possibly nomination places of, say, 10 for an occupation, so that we maintain, what's needed in the state. So in terms of saying you've done very well in the migration process, you've also done very well in a competitive process for state nomination as well. So in terms of a new occupation list, we publish a new occupation list every July. And just to let you know, we have published one recently. So just in case you have got family and friends at home who are interested, do tell them to go and have a look at our website, because we've got all our requirements on there. And there are some requirements that open up extra occupations for people under what we call chain migration, which is family migration. So when they've got someone who's permanently here for 2 years or longer, immediate family member, then somebody else may be able to be nominated to come here. And also people with very high points on the points test. So you might just want to let any family or friends who might be interested in joining you, let them know to have a look at that criteria. So in terms of your commitment to South Australia, obviously we expect that you stay in South Australia for at least 2 years. So basically 2 years from your date of arrival, or 2 years if you're on shore from the date of the visa grant. And that would have been a declaration that either your migration agent would have showed you or you would have filled out on your application form. So that's really important to us, because each state and territory have their own migration program, and we're looking to meet the needs of our own state or territory. So obviously everyone participates in the program, and we want people to remain in the state or territory that nominated them. Obviously after that 2-year period, it might be a decision whether you do continue on in South Australia, and I hope you do, that you settle well and find the job you want and stay here. But you can make a decision after that 2-year period. It depends on what type of visa you're on about your restrictions though. Obviously if you're on a permanent visa, which would be your 190, or there are some older subclasses that are permanent, you can live anywhere in Australia after that 2-year period. But if you're on the 489, on a provisional visa, or the old 475, then you are always restricted to regional Australia. So that's just a really important point. And some people don't fully understand their visa conditions around the provisional visa. So just encourage you to look at your visa grant letter, or go onto the Department of Home Affairs website and check your visa conditions on there so you're well aware. We have had people in the past that have just moved over, say, to Sydney or Melbourne too early, and they're on the provisional visa, and then let us know that they've been there for some time. So obviously that's a big problem because they're not meeting their visa condition of remaining in regional Australia. So just make sure, yeah, you're aware of it, and if you've got questions, you ask about it. So another thing that we do regularly is survey our state-nominated migrants, and we're very keen to see, basically monitor the success of the program or any issues that have arisen in the program with particular industries, for example. So you do get 5 surveys in your 2-year period, and they're not onerous, they're actually very quick to fill out, so it's usually only 6, 7, 8 questions. And it's to find out about your settlement here and your employment in South Australia. So please do go online when you get a link from us, register your arrival, and then fill out the 5 surveys over the 2-year period. If you don't hear from us, if you don't receive a link to register your arrival, or you don't receive your surveys, please contact us and let us know. We'll make sure that you do get them. But that's just really helpful informing our policy, our future policy decision making. So another point up there is just about actively researching your job opportunities here. So obviously, probably most of you have looked in really carefully to your job opportunities before arriving, but just like to highlight, do make the most of the services at Immigration SA, which everyone's going to talk about in this session today. And yeah, make sure you look carefully into any licensing or registration for your occupation if you haven't already. Do we have any people on the provisional visa? Could I just have a show of hands? Yeah. Okay, so now it's about 50% also. So with the provisional visa, there is a pathway to permanency for that visa. So you've got a visa that you can apply for after living in South Australia for 2 years and working full-time for 1 year. So that's, the full-time is 35 hours a week, and it can be, you can do any job for that. It doesn't need to be your nominated occupation. You can work in skilled work, or you can pick up 2 jobs, 2 casual jobs, as long as it makes up the 35 hours a week. So what at Immigration SA, we encourage you just to put an application in as soon as you're eligible to apply after that 2-year living period, 1 year working. It's a very streamlined process. It's through the Department of Home Affairs. So Immigration SA doesn't have any involvement with it. So once we nominate you, then basically further applications that you make are directly to the Department of Home Affairs. But they have set up the system so it is a much more streamlined visa application process. You've got to meet their base requirements. So look on the website under 887 visa, just to make sure you know ahead of time what you need to plan for, what documents you might need to prepare. But it obviously doesn't cost the same amount as other visas, so it's streamlined and much less expensive visa option, and yeah, quite an easy process as long as you meet all the base requirements. If you have questions about it, you can look, so definitely go to the website for the Department of Home Affairs, or you can contact Home Affairs maybe closer to the time if you've got specific questions, or see a migration agent if you need to about it as well. So that's just a reminder, just get ready, and basically you'll need proof of employment for them, and probably if you're self-employed, just make sure you're collecting enough evidence for self-employment and making sure you're meeting requirements. So that's the only issue that some people have, is not collecting enough evidence for them. So just a couple of reminders too. Obviously you mentioned about the visa conditions, so go and look at your own visa conditions. But particularly around looking for employment, and it's probably more for the provisional visa holders, employers do understand permanent residence visas very well. So your 190 visa or your 189 independent visa, they tend to know obviously full work rights, and they understand what that means. But employers don't always understand the full suite of visas. So with the provisional visa, we have put a letter on our website if you need to provide it to employers. So it's under our publications page. So feel free to print it up, and it just explains what the 489 or 475 provisional visa is, and that you've got full work rights and that they can employ you. state government, there's a ruling that state government can employ anyone on provisional visas, so just be aware of that. And of course you can talk to the team if you ever have any major issues with an employer not understanding your visa. Otherwise you've also got Vivo, so feel free to use Vivo as well, and you could provide that to your, a prospective employer to show that you've got full work rights. They may at times think it's more of a temporary visa, but obviously, full work rights, and you're here, for 4 years and you're going on a pathway to permanent residency, so it's very different to your temporary visas. So it's more just about educating employers, and probably more your small, medium-sized employers. Maybe some of the larger employers will be more aware of different visas. And obviously register your arrival with Immigration SA so that we've got you in the system and that you're getting surveys as well. So just in relation to questions that you have, obviously sometimes there's a bit of confusion between the Federal Department of Home Affairs and Immigration SA and what questions to ask of who. So if you've got visa questions, they should all go through to the Department of Home Affairs. But if you have questions about your state nomination, registering your arrival, surveys, those sort of things, they can be directed to Immigration SA. And we do have on our website an ability to lodge an inquiry, so we're trying to encourage people to go through the inquiry system, but there's also a mailbox as well. So feel free to contact us, and I wish you all the best with your job search. Thank you.